Thanks for listening to the fifth in our collection of special Deepdale Festival podcasts in 2024. I'm Jason and your host for this series. In this episode, I chat with Lorna and Karen from the Henry Girls, who are playing on Sunday, Ros Stewart, who is playing on Friday, and Elizabeth and Jameson, who also perform on Friday. Lorna and Karen from the Henry Girls joined me over the internet from Ireland. 10 years ago, Chris drove to Birmingham one evening to see them play in the Kitchen Garden Cafe. When he bought his CD after the gig, they wrote on his purchase that they hope to make it to Norfolk someday. So you can understand how excited he is that he's hosting them for Deepdale Festival 2024. Ros is a local, living in Norfolk for most of his life, but you wouldn't know from his accent or his support of Scottish sports teams. He chats about creating music and finding his style. Hannah and Griff, aka Elizabeth and Jameson, chat about how they came to music, Hannah's love of Welsh rugby, and being surrounded by the music of the valleys. Thank you to all of them for allowing us to play a sample of their music. From the Henry Girls we play A Time to Grow, from Ros Stewart we play Sweet Morning, and from Elizabeth and Jameson we play Old Town. Enjoy this episode, and we hope you'll listen back to the rest of the Deepdale Festival series. And most importantly, we hope to see you at Deepdale Festival from the 26th to the 29th of September 2024. Some day tickets are still available, and we hope you can join us for what we know will be an incredible weekend of live music. We are so looking forward to your set at Deepdale Festival. Welcome both Karen and Lorna.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
So where in the world are you guys?
Well, Karen, I'm in Derry in the north. It's just sort of very near Donegal. You know, we're only maybe 30, 40 minutes from where I grew up, but I'm in Derry City. That's where I live.
I'm up in Dromaville, most specifically, I'm in Malin, County Donegal, which is it's a tiny little village up in the north coast of Donegal and on the Inishowen Peninsula, and it's very beautiful here. It's quite quiet and quite rural, but absolutely beautiful.
Wonderful. How did the Henry Girls come about? Now, you're three sisters, but have you been singing and performing music since you were tiny?
Well, we've been immersed in it as a sort of a thing in our lives, I suppose, since we've been pretty young. We've actually got three more sisters. There's six sisters altogether. We grew up, as Lorna, like where Lorna is right now is where we grew up, more or less up there in Malin, and we had a lot of our parents were just very into music and had a lot of musician friends and different family members, and then in the school there was a lot of music, so we were just all really drawn to music. Our mum loved singing, got us all singing, and so it was just always something we did growing up. And then three of us sort of really went on to develop it and to get more into it and to sort of study it, and then started to become professional and do it as a career. And then we because Jolene, who's not here, this is the youngest of the six sisters. So when she was growing up, she was like totally, immersed, and she was like learning everything. And she was, I'd say she just is the most natural musician, really. And so she plays the harp. And then when myself and Lorna were away off, we actually went to Australia together, myself and Lorna, and we did a bit of busking over there and playing music in a lot of different places, mostly in Sydney. Then when we came back, we were really keen to write music and record and set up a band. And Jolene was just sort of finishing school. We just grabbed her and said, right, let's just do this band. And so we just really formed around then. And so we basically made our first album in 2002. We released it in 2003. From then on, we've kind of just been recording and playing, performing and touring, and like in between. Like I've got three kids, so they're the same age as the group. They kind of all started around the same time, and it's just been on and off, and Yeah, but it's been, yeah, I'd say professionally, yeah, like 21 to 22 years. And then before that, definitely many years of just family, you know, and other different things.
And so, Lorna, do you each play different instruments? Who is the core to the writing, or is it something that comes organically from all three of you?
Okay, so we all play piano, and that started because we all grew up beside a piano teacher. So we were all kind of just sent off to piano lessons from a very young age. So we were lucky because that was our grounding then in the basics of music. And then, of course, we got music lessons at school and things like that. So I suppose I took a big interest in singing. And when I went to when I went to college, I got really into singing and singing technique and things like that there. Jolene went to college and she had already sort of taken up the harp by the time she went to college. So then she got really into that and she did a degree. The three of us have degrees in music. And then Karen went off to college to do music as well, but she kind of took up the fiddle a little bit later. But now her main instrument really would be the fiddle. We also have instruments that we play together or that we all play, like the ukulele. We throw that into some of the songs. And that's about it really. I suppose the harp is our main instrument in the band. Like we could do a gig without a piano, but we couldn't do a gig without a harp, you know. And then when it comes to the songwriting, it's very much a team effort. Like it's a collaboration. There's the three of us kind of write equally. Like if you kind of look through the albums and sort of tot it up, I'd say we all equally have contributed. And then when it comes to writing the songs, like sometimes we come with a fully formed song of our own. Not that often, actually. Most of the time we come with an idea and then we kind of work it out together. But as time has gone on, like if you look at our first album, which was, would you believe, like 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, it was a lot of covers and a lot of random stuff. Whereas now, like our last album was a completely original album. So it took us a while to kind of build up the confidence to kind of just go with the doing completely original music. You know, it's easy sometimes to kind of dip into kind of great songs and cover them, but it's a little bit harder than to kind of do your own thing. But it's much more rewarding to do your own thing as well, I think.
Sure, that makes absolute sense. And
Yeah.
Karen, I'm guessing there's real positives to having three siblings in a band, and there's probably some negatives. Not all siblings get on. You know, how does it work with three sisters? Do you kind of form an idea and then put it to the others, and then it kind of develops into something bigger, or do you tend to come to kind of practice sessions with a fully formed idea of a song?
It's like it's a mixture of all kinds of, like it's we don't have a set way of doing things. We just, so we could sometimes, like we actually run songwriting workshops as well. You know, and I suppose being sisters, we tend to have more opportunities to get together. You know, maybe we don't have to, but we still do have to kind of plan to get together to maybe form ideas and or to work on ideas. So yeah, sometimes somebody could come along with a fully formed idea, and we all sort of try to add to it or just, you know, make an arrangement of it or you know, I suppose it's just one of those things. Yeah, I suppose we've just been developing over the last few years is just how to manage that, like how to sort of like, well, that song feels, you know, you're just trying to be, I suppose, just very kind of respectful to each other's ideas, and but we all seem to have, yeah, I suppose because we've been doing it for so long together now, we all tune in really quickly, and very quickly we can work out what our parts in that what that will be, you know. So I think that's really developed over the last while. You know, sometimes there'd be like such a variety of, like there could be something really jazzy, something very folky, you know, maybe coming from different influences that we all have. And but now it just feels like that's all really kind of gelled, and there's a sort of a, yeah, we can really just, everyone has their input now, and it just feels like we've kind of worked that out a bit better. And so yeah, it's always different though. Like it could be, you know, sometimes we could just start from complete and utter scratch, because when we do our songwriting workshops, that's something that we kind of use for ourselves as well. You know, that like we kind of we influence people and show them how to maybe get an idea started, and then work together as a group to form it into something. So we kind of go, well, you know, that's what we'll do too, and you know, so it's an interesting process, songwriting. It's sort of, you know, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all just you know, it's what you're comfortable with then at the end of it. Like, so whenever, obviously for all three of us to perform something, we all have to feel comfortable with it and feel like we enjoy doing it and that we, you know, we've got something we can add to it. So getting that right is, yeah, that can be a bit of a challenge, but it's good. It's a good challenge. I love it.
And would you describe yourself as being heavily influenced by sort of Irish tradition, or are you taking inputs from all over?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think we're very much an Irish band and very, you know, we grew up immersed in Irish music and all that, but also we're just like regular music fans as well who listen to music from all over. So that, you know, that influence is there for sure. You can hear, especially with the harmonies, because there's a lot of great Irish harmony bands like Clannad and the Voice Squad and different ones that have influenced us over the years. But then the harmony bands that may have influenced us more might have been maybe bands like the Boswell Sisters and the Roach Sisters, those kind of harmonies. Yeah, it's if you listen to some of our earlier stuff, there's kind of more of an Americana sound. Whereas the last album that we brought out, I feel like it's got a more of a Irish feel to it somehow. I don't know how. There's a couple of quite jazzy ones on there. I'm happy with the way our sound is developing because I would like it to kind of be recognizably Irish, if you know what I mean, rather than people thinking it's like one time somebody said, "Oh, you sound like an American band," and I was like, "What? Right?" You know. But then if you're, you know, it depends on your instrumentation and things like that there, and the treatment of it. So yeah, definitely, yeah, there's a lot of Irish influence, and that's coming through strong.
Is it a busy summer for you guys?
Very busy, yeah. We had, well, a big thing in the middle of this summer was our residency that we've been doing every year now for about, I think this was the 8th year. So that's a week where we kind of spend in Malin with people who've signed up to do a residency with us. So they come for 5 days and they spend the time doing workshops with us, writing songs, going to gigs, going to sessions, and then we do a concert at the end of the week. So that was quite a big chunk of July, getting ready for that and then delivering that. And then we just had various festivals. We were in France, we were in Saint Etienne, and
Nice.
we were just in Purbeck Valley Folk Festival there.
We are really, really looking forward to you guys playing at Deepdale. It's going to be wonderful. I know that your music will bring something really special to the Orchard stage. I know our festival goers are going to absolutely just adore what you guys play. So it's going to be fantastic. Really looking forward to it. Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Jason. We're so looking forward to it as well. It'll be great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me on here.
We love going over and playing in England. It's so handy too for us, you know, and
yeah.
And the audiences over there are just so great. Like we had such a great reception at Purbeck. It was like we were kind of like amazed, you know. So we just love getting out and going. And festivals are always great because people are just in good form, and you know they're kind of just happy to hear music of any kind.
And have you guys ever played Norfolk before?
No, don't think so.
That's cool. That's good. Well, then we'd like to draw new people into the county and show them the beautiful North Norfolk coast. So
yeah, really excited to see Norfolk. Actually, yeah, definitely.
Great. Thanks so much, Jason.
Look forward to it.
Let me sit with this. Let me take it in. Let me understand it from deep within. Let me sit with this. Let me take it in. Let me understand it from deep within. When oh when will this be over? When oh when will it end? An end to shame, an end to sorrow. And when it's done, the time to grow. Let me sit with this, let me take it in, let me understand it from deep within. Another dawn, another winter, and troubled dreams and darkness came. But I'll grow tall as days grow warmer, and in the let me take it in. Let me understand it from deep within. Let me sit with this. Let me take it.
I'm chatting with Ros Stewart, who is playing on Friday at Deepdale Festival. Another one of those artists that we're really looking forward to welcoming to Deepdale. I know that Chris has noticed Ross's music in a number of places. You're a Scottish lad. It's very nice to have you on the podcast. Am I right in thinking you don't live in Scotland now? You're down in the dreaded England, or are you still in Scotland?
No, I'm down in Norfolk. I'm a local boy now.
Excellent. So we're a local festival for you.
Yes, yeah. It's not one that I'd initially before I got in contact about it. It wasn't one that I'd heard of, and I've done like a load of research on it, and it looks brilliant. I'm really, really excited to play it.
Cool, that's good. It's going to really confuse people when you say I'm a local lad and you stand up with a Scottish accent, but I'm really looking forward to the you explaining the confusion. That'll be great.
I don't know. I just love to cause chaos. That's all over.
So, what brought a lad from Fife to Norfolk?
Well, I was 8 at the time, so it was very much a family move. I must say that the weather did have a big part in it, because it's very sunny outside, and it has been for about 2 weeks, and that is unheard of where I'm from. So it's definitely a big part of it.
Although, to be fair, I've just been in Scotland for some of the festival, the Ed Fringe, and we had some beautiful weather. So, when Scotland's sunny, it is one of the most stunning places in the world.
It is, to be fair. Yeah, there are some. I think, having come from Scotland, I think I definitely took some of it for granted. I kind of want to go back there as a tourist at some point and see the bits that I didn't get to see when I lived there. So
you've been in Norfolk for more of your life than you were in Scotland, but you've still managed to keep the accent. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, well, it's this very strange thing. I mean, I could kind of give or take it when I lived there, but as soon as I crossed the border, I became very patriotic. I'm kind of plug on for dear life.
You're heartedly supporting Scotland in the Calcutta Cup, while everybody else in the pub is wearing England shirts.
I work in a pub, and I turned up to the Euros final in my Scotland shirt, and I made it about 2 hours before my manager told me to take it off for fear of
for your own safety.
For my own safety, yeah.
So what can people expect? What's your music all about?
That's a great question. One I'm still figuring out myself.
Well, you're still young, so you have plenty of time to do that. There's an awful lot of bands who've been around for a long time who still aren't quite sure.
Yeah, but I think there's something nice about that. I think, not having something clear to define is quite good. Is quite nice. I mean, it's very. I've got sort of, when I'm writing to press and stuff, I kind of just try and cram as many genres into my description as possible. So I kind of go like, it's bluesy folk, it's pop rock, it's singer-songwriter, it's country Americana. It's a big kind of cross-section of all of those that I do. And I tend to find like my sets are quite dynamic. Like they move through different feelings and different sort of sounds in a way that makes sense. It's not like I'm playing a gentle ballad and then go into a thrash metal song. Like it makes sense, but it's quite fluid, I'd say.
What brought you to music? Have you always done music, or is it something that sort of grew over time?
No, well, it wasn't, kind of neither of those things. I mean, I wasn't musical at all. And I think that there was one time specifically when somebody asked me if I'd like to be involved in a choir, and my mum point blank refused to put me in it because she said that I'm tone deaf when I was a bit younger. And then I think one day I decided that I wanted to pick up guitar off of my old interest. I was like 12 going on 13 at the time. And so I had my first lesson, and it was like, okay, this makes sense. This is what I want to do immediately. It was like, everything fell into place. And then basically, yeah, about 7 or 8 years later, kind of that's all I do now. It just kind of very much grew from there.
For you, I'm always fascinated by how the writing process works. When you're writing, do you kind of think of words and then add melodies, or do melodies happen and then you kind of fit words, or is it just a completely different experience for every song you write?
I'm still figuring out what my style is. I speak about this quite a lot because I often like my songwriting process is quite a frustrating thing because I know a lot of writers and I know a lot of things where people just write like a river. Like it flows and it flows and it flows. And the really annoying ones are the ones that always write good stuff like that. But I think it's very common for people to just write and then cherry pick the good bits. Whereas humbly, I think I only write the good bits because I don't allow myself to write the rubbish bits.
Right.
But the danger with that comes that sometimes I can go like months without writing a song. So I'm still figuring it out. But some songs are done in an hour. I have a song that took me a year to finish, and it can kind of, sometimes it's a riff that starts me off, sometimes it's a chord progression, sometimes it's lyrics. I wish I had a formula. It would make my life so much easier. It's something that you have to figure it out, and it's something that I think you learn it is still a skill. Like playing guitar is a tangible skill that you have to practice and work because it's muscle, and writing is just the same, and you have to have a consistency with it, which I, for one, don't always have. I get busy, my brain clogs up, and then it gets neglected for a while, which is kind of, I want to get over that. It's about consistency and it's about practicing it, and it's about letting yourself make mistakes and writing rubbish stuff so you can write good stuff. It's all about that.
Well, we're really looking forward to you playing at Deepdale. It's going to be great. Ros is playing on Friday at the festival, and he's in very good company on Friday with bands like Track Dog and Bonfire Radicals, Christina Alden and Alex Patterson, Catherine Williams and Withered Hand, Wensum, Elizabeth and Jameson, Sakash, The Larks, and Toast Poetry, and there are others to be added. If I played a sample of one of your tracks, which track would you feel would be a good representation of what people will see?
Well, I have 2 out at the moment, and the second one came out 2 weeks ago, so that's still very much in the promotional phase. So I'd say that one, it's called Sweet Morning, and that's kind of a bit of a look at one side of my sound. I have the other one's called Land's End, which is a bit more kind of folk rock, whereas Sweet Morning is kind of more upbeat Americana bluesy stuff. I'd go with that one. That one's fun, and it's a sunny song, and it's still sunny outside, so that's
great. Fantastic. Well, lovely to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
choices. But when I hear your bird song, you make me want to sing along. And if I should go, I want you to know.
I am talking to the artists Elizabeth and Jameson, who are playing on Friday on the Orchard stage. Their real names are Hannah Elizabeth and Griff Jameson.
Yep.
And they play the most beautiful harmonies, and it's just lovely. It's really lovely to listen to, and definitely worth catching on Friday. Thank you for joining me on the podcast, guys.
That's all right. Good to see you.
And how is life as musicians?
It's going all right, actually. Yeah. I think, well, actually, weirdly, since we last played Deepdale, it's becoming more and more of our living, which is wonderful, to be honest with you. We're absolutely blessed.
That's cool. That's a nice way of going, because it must be really difficult as someone who wants to be playing stage after stage after stage and recording and coming up with albums and stuff, to not be able to do that full time. Must be immensely frustrating, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we're both self-employed and have to do other things, obviously, on occasion, and we do go out as a covers duo as well, and that really helps, but the point is we're doing music together. We also started recording other people and like being, I guess, the backing band for singer-songwriters and things like that. Yeah. So it's still being creative and being musical, and I think that helps towards our stuff as well, which is good.
And have you both been musicians for a long time? So did you kind of know you were musicians when you were kids, or was this something you came to later on?
Gosh, I know. I've probably got different answers, but for me, I enjoyed music and played it at school, and my family are fairly musical, but it wasn't actually an ambition to stand in front of people and sing and play the violin, as probably would have caused great anxiety to me when I was younger, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I didn't think of myself. I've never felt like a performer who enjoys people watching them, and this has been the nicest way to discover that I do enjoy it. It's been the best kind of outlet for me to do singing and playing in the genre that we do. Is just perfect, actually. So I'm really glad it happened. But when I was younger, I just enjoyed music. I didn't imagine performing at all.
Mm. All right.
Griff might be different. I don't know.
Did you immediately want to be on stage?
Feel like hairbrush in front of the mirror.
It was a bit. Was it? No. Well, my mother was a music teacher, and my dad was always in bands and things. So I don't know. I think being South Wales Valleys, you've got to sing for your supper. So you've got to do something. And I ended up going to drama school. I got a scholarship and went to drama school. And when I was out in the big wide world, my bread and butter was always, I would get a small part in a play, but then they would get me to play guitar or bass in the background for everything. So it was just inevitable, really, that, and the music started taking more and more of a front foot. You see what I mean? So, yeah. No, I love it. I think it's part of life. I gorge on music and I nerd out about music. I collect cassette tapes even. So,
So Hannah, is it a nightmare to be around when the Welsh are playing rugby or football?
Oh no! Do you know what? It's a spectacle to behold. There's something just beautiful about it. And actually, I enjoy rugby more now than I ever thought I would as well. It's like if you could fast forward my life to this point, I wouldn't recognise myself. I'm interested in rugby, and I play the violin in front of people. Who am I? I'm not complaining. I think this is the way it's meant to be. This is where we're meant to be and what we're meant to be doing.
Yeah,
I must say that the Welsh supporters and Argentinian supporters are some of the most musical. That when you've got a bunch of English supporters singing "Swing High, Swing Low" and then not knowing any more of the words, it gets quite boring. Yeah. Well, we went to see Argentina playing against Namibia as part of the World Cup in Leicester, and the Argentinians were just truly incredible. Like one of them would stand up and start singing, and it would be an entire aria, and the other 40,000 Argentinian supporters, where the hell they all came from, I have no idea. But they all stood up and just carried on with the same aria, and you're like, oh my good God. And you guys from Wales just know how to sing, but like the English just haven't got that kind of whole kind of capability of we really got to learn some decent track, or at least all the words to to Swing High, Swing Low, because that would at least there'd be something.
I'm definitely working on the Welsh national anthem. Yeah. It's there's some pronunciation that I don't have my mouth around yet, but I have a good teacher. And you're right, we went to see the rugby at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff a few years ago, And it was like watching a show. Like obviously the game was a show, but it was like the music and the singing, the fireworks.
Yeah.
I was sold, and I did wear my Welsh shirt. For anybody wondering, I wore my Welsh shirt. Okay, and that's how it is.
Slowly being brainwashed.
Yeah.
So do you get any rude comments from people about the fact you're wearing a Welsh shirt but sound quite English?
I don't know what you possibly mean. I don't know. I guess I sing. I try to hold my own with the singing, and learn the noises that sound a little bit like the national anthem, which I think is the most beautiful song ever as well. By the way, they trump us there as well. To be honest, don't they? They got the best song. Anyway, but there's a few family members of mine that aren't massively sporting. They're not massive sporting sort of sport supporters. I don't know. They're not that much into it, but they just can't understand why I would go to support Wales or wear a Welsh shirt. And I'm thinking, well, I didn't really do anything before, so it's not like I have to put my English shirt away and put this one on. I just was like, oh, it's all right. But then when you get amongst the Welsh supporting their rugby team, you get totally swept away with it. And I quite like the atmosphere. It's great.
Have you guys got lots of gigs at the moment, gigs between now and Deepdale, or is summer quite a calm time?
We've just come back from Camp Festival in Dorset. We were lucky enough to have a slot there, but we're also playing the second Camp Festival in Shropshire at the end of this month.
Summer is a nice time for us generally, and lots of musicians with festivals, but it can be busier some years than others for whatever reason. But this year I think we've enjoyed some really great ones actually. I was just looking back at the fact that we've played a few local things. Like there's a great local festival in Bedford, close-ish to where we are, called Bed Fringe, and that's like a local fringe festival. And we're going to one at Cropready. Okay, it's on the fringe.
Oh yeah, the fringe of the
Cropready, and it's called Cream of the Crop.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
So it's in Cropready as well, and it's on at the same time as Fairport's Cropready convention. And so you're kind of on the fringes, and there's a couple around there, and you like people going to the main festival come out to see the fringe. And then there's the other festival. We're doing an Americana festival.
Oh yeah, up in Yorkshire as well. So
so do you know what? The diary's looking quite healthy, and we're really happy and lucky to be out and about so much. Actually,
have you recorded any new stuff recently, or are you still developing tunes?
Well, we've at the start of this year we set aside time and we've recorded a little 4-track EP, and we've recorded it all ourselves. And it's basically a fundraiser for what's going to be the second album. The songs are going to be recorded differently, but we're hopefully going to get into a posh studio and get the rhythm section of the drums and the bass down, and then hopefully we're going to go off to a little cottage in the middle of nowhere and record everything else over a long week. You know what I mean? In situ.
Nice.
Yeah. It's good. We're getting nice feedback from those songs as well, which is great.
For those who haven't seen you before, and I know some of our festival goers will have seen you a couple of years ago, but what can they expect from your set on the Orchard stage?
I think a bit more of what we did the last time. Whenever we do release something, we try and have a bit of a theme through any sort of album or EP. So our first album was all set around North Yorkshire and the seaside town of Whitby. We have a little nostalgia EP, which is about our differing childhoods growing up. So the second album is all going to be around sights and sounds and personal experiences of South Wales and the valleys in general. We were fortunate enough this year, we had an opportunity to play in Nashville, which was awesome. And we've got our very first bilingual song, which has got one Welsh word in it. And we had a bunch of Americans all shouting along in Welsh, which was brilliant.
Career highlight.
It was a career highlight, that was.
We are so looking forward to you coming and playing at Deepdale again. It'll be really lovely to have you there. Do you think you'll be able to hang around and see a few of the other bands while you're there?
We're not able to stay over this year, but we are hoping to be there for the duration of the day we're playing. So on the Friday, we have a few folks who have written to us to say they're there and they'll come to see us and they've seen us before. And that's always really nice. You get some interaction from people email or social media saying, I've seen you're at Deepdale,
Yeah.
I'm going to be there. And we'll be spending for sure the whole day. And after our set, we'll definitely be hanging around to see whoever else we can that day. Is really nice. And I think we know a few other folks on the bill as well.
Yeah.
So if we can catch up with anyone, that's one of the great things about this kind of thing as well. You bump into lots of people you haven't seen for ages.
I just like the fact that when we finish our set, we're just punters then. We can just like go and enjoy wherever we go. Yeah.
And Deepdale is such a lovely place to spend time, you know, the camping and the rooms and just to wander around. And I think it's such a great place to host an event like this.
Yeah.
We've really enjoyed spending time there when we have done in the past. So we're looking forward to that.
You're joining Track Dogs, Bonfire Radicals, Christina Alden and Alex Patterson, Catherine Williams and Withered Hand, Wensum, Ros Stewart, Sakash, The Larks, and Toast Poetry. So it's all going to be great.
All on Friday.
All on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be a busy day, but lots of great music. We really look forward to seeing you. If I was to play a sample, which one would you choose?
If you play the title track of our latest EP, which is Old Town.
Where the factory stood in the old town, where the smoke would catch fire with the air, where they'd work and they'd stay till the end of their day, and a part of them will remain there. Down the factory road in the old town, they would stroll with no thought of their lives, working harder than hell, though it's harder to tell as the light fades away from their eyes.
Thank you so much for listening to the 5th episode of the Deepdale Festival Podcast 2024, the last episode in the series. If you'd like to know more about artists performing at Deepdale Festival 2024, then take a look at the website deepdalefestival.co.uk. Hope we'll see you in September for amazing live music.